you wouldn't read a book with the same sentence over and over again. So why do the same workouts day after day? This is the training story. Well, hello. If you think I'm reading this book, you're wrong, because I'm holding it upside down and it only has pictures in it. But that's okay, because I'm not here to read to you. I'm here to tell you about level 3 training. So let's get into it. Talking about level 3 is pretty exciting. And if you haven't checked out my previous 2 videos on level 1 and level 2, you should probably just stop and go check out those first, because in those videos I'm talking about the pyramid of fitness we're trying to build. And we need a nice big base in order to build a nice tall pyramid. You can't get better at training in a specific zone by going faster than that zone. So like level 3, you're not gonna get better at it if you're always training 4 and 5. Go check out those videos first. Now level 3 is pretty special, because up until this point we were primarily talking about aerobic zones. And what I mean by aerobic zone is that your body's able to utilize oxygen to burn fat. Now, when your body can't process oxygen fast enough, it has to switch over to different fuel sources. And the primary fuel source that it's going to use is glycogen. It's going to use that fuel source through things like glycolysis and the Krebs cycle, and it doesn't need oxygen in order to do that. Where this switch happens, where your body goes from utilizing fat through aerobic means to going to using glycogen through anaerobic means, that switch happens in level 3, and that's pretty exciting. However, that means it can be a little bit of a finicky zone to train in sometimes, and people, if you don't do it right, you're gonna really kind of mess yourself up if you're trying to train for something in an endurance way. So let's get to it. Now, zone 3 is something, it can be really, really valuable for endurance athletes, because if you can get really efficient in level 3 and be able to push your zone 3 as close to your max heart rate as you can, when you do that, you're actually gonna be able to burn fat for longer. So say your max heart rate is 190 beats per minute, and through some different types of testing, you see that you can stay in level 3 up to 170 beats per minute. After some training, you then can get up to 180 beats per minute, and your body is still in level 3. When you're doing that, that means that you're able to travel faster while still utilizing both types of fuel sources. And so generally in level 3, you're gonna be able to last for about an hour to an hour and a half. And then you are gonna start to, I don't know, bonk, whatever. But anyway, what this means is, did that make sense? So the longer your body is able to use fat as a fuel source, it helps you reserve glycogen for when you really need it. And so when you are able to push your level 3 up closer to your max heart rate, you're gonna be able to save glycogen for further along in the race and really be able to close out in a hopefully a faster way, because you have the energy source that you need when you start to go anaerobic. And what I mean by that is because when you really start to push hard and fast, you need that energy source, because your body can't function and go fast if it doesn't have that energy source that it needs when it becomes crunch time. What happens sometimes is people only train in zone 3. When they do this, their body isn't really able to, they aren't really good like in their aerobic fitness, but they're also not really good in their anaerobic fitness. They can't really go slow and burn fat as a fuel, but they also can't really go fast and use glycogen as a fast fuel as well. So that's when people refer to it as the gray zone. You're kind of bad at both things and you're not good at anything. So you're like, okay, Paul, how do I do this? How do I be able to, like, how do I save this precious fuel source you're talking about, glycogen, for longer in the race? You want to come into a level 3 workout with like the intention of training that zone. Generally, this is going to happen through intervals or tempo work. A tempo is when you're going to do it's basically a longer interval. And it's not an interval where you're going all out, you're keeping it controlled and you're able to hold that same pace through the entire tempo session. When you're doing that, you're actually trying to become more efficient in level 3. If you come into a level 3 workout with the intention of doing a little bit shorter intervals, say you're doing 10 by 3 minute intervals, at that point, you're trying to increase your speed at which you can go in level 3. I think it's important to do both of these types of things if you're training for an endurance event, because you want to be able to go faster in level 3 and you also want to become efficient in level 3. Now, say you head into one of these interval workouts and you have a friend who's pushing the pace. And you're like, what the heck, Paul? Well, what you do is you tell that friend to come over to the Average Olympian's YouTube channel and tell them to push the subscribe button instead of the pace, so that they stop ruining your workout and ruining their own too, and they can learn how to train properly. And if you have questions, make sure you comment below. So when you're in a level 3 workout, you're doing your tempo, you're doing your intervals, make sure you're going at a pace where you can just about still be able to talk. You don't want to be going so hard that you can't talk, then you're probably going too fast and you're getting to level 3. But you want to be able to talk somewhat comfortably, even though it's like kind of a little bit of a pace where you're like, I'm not quite comfortable, but I'm still not quite at that race pace where I know I'm gonna go too hard. On the next episode, we're going up another level. We're going to level 4. We're gonna say goodbye to aerobic training, and we're gonna start to go into the anaerobic zone where we say, oxygen, it's been good, but it's time for me to move on and go on and try bigger and better things that life has in store for me. Make sure you stay tuned to learn how to train through all the different levels so that you can become the best athlete that you're setting out to be.